I was drawn to the ancestral work because in my childhood I was raised Roman Catholic, and both of my mother's parents died, one just before I was born and one just after I was born. And as a child growing up, I was told to always pray to them and talk to them. So every night I would do my prayers and I would speak to my grandmother and grandfather who I'd never met. And I had always a strong sense of spirit and a sense of them around me, like kind of guardian angels. And doing my journey work, there was a remembrance weekend, I don't know, something like 10 years ago or something. And I did some work and I asked, my ancestors to come forward and said, how can I honor you for remembrance? And actually, all four of my grandparents who have passed on or in spirit came forward and they said, we want you to train as a family constellation therapist, and we want you to bring this work and this healing into this world, into your body of work that you're already using. When I studied the family constellation therapy, what it does is it looks at the family as a whole system. So in your body you have a heart and you have a liver and a stomach, and you have your bones and your skin and your blood, and we know that all of the different components make up our physical form. And the same thing in the family, you're born into a family, but each member of the family plays a certain role, and you're one organism. So whether or not you like your family doesn't really matter. You're part of a system there, and until you resolve and rebalance what's going on there, somehow that system is going to be affecting you positively or negatively if there's stuff that's not resolved. So I went into this very deeply with people. It was a real natural thing for me. And the way it's structured is that people are invited to represent members of your family, and the knowing field informs. So often the ones who are in spirit, they get to come back and finish their unfinished business. So the people representing get informed by the knowing field, and they hold the energy of the ones who've gone before or the ones who are presently here. So it's like dealing with the collective unconscious. Then things are allowed through this representation to come to the surface, to be seen, and to get integrated and healed. So they're very cathartic sometimes. Sometimes they're very quiet. Depends what's happening in your family particularly. As soon as you really put it out, your intention very clearly to have an ancestral healing and to come to that ceremony, the ancestors start queuing up. They cannot wait to get the work done. They have been not having a physical form, and now that they know that some forms are going to be available so they can unravel their scripts, they are delighted and queuing to get there. So it's a bit like peeling off the layers of an onion. The layers that want to be healed, that are ready to be healed, the ones that want to be released very quickly, these are the ones that will first come up. And we usually spend about an hour on each person, so many layers come off of the family system, and we will go where the energy is moment to moment. And the people in the room representing have to just go into, it's not a thinking process, it's actually a sensory, tactile, kinesthetic process. They usually get sensations and feelings in their body, and they get information, and then they begin to say what's happening to them. And then as it plays out, you can see the connections between all the individuals, and then whatever is wanting to come forth comes forth. So no one's controlling what's happening. If it's done authentically, people are dropping in to their physical knowing and receiving a lot of information through the senses. So this is how the constellation works. And as a facilitator, I'm going around where I'm feeling the energy, and the spirits are guiding me to kind of provoke, open up, and explore different nooks and crannies of what's going on in the system. So we just keep going around and clearing it until it's exposed. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. And the people who go to stand in and represent, they feel enormous healing because they know that they weren't thinking it. They know they got it from somewhere, and they got it. That, again, is like that empowerment feeling that when you journey, you receive information much vaster and far beyond anything your intellect knows. And it's like you get all this information sort of just like a computer downloaded into your hard drive. And you don't know where this information came from, but you suddenly understand and know, and you can see. And it gives people quite a buzz to kind of know why. And it's not even their family. Though I must say, if someone picks you to represent, there's usually a reason why you're chosen to represent a certain family member. Because often what's happening in that system, you are probably carrying the imprint of that subliminally, subconsciously somewhere. And that's why you know how to stand in for that ancestor and represent them. Because somewhere it's in your system too. Yeah. So, but representing, you also are healing your own system. You're bringing in more light, more consciousness, more awareness into these terrible, painful areas for people. I mean, the liberation and the light and the joy that's palpable in the room after we do one of these, you can just feel the ancestors come and they take back the things that were, it's their dignity to receive back. And then the younger generation is then free. You know, you feel this immense freedom. You feel like the burdens go back to where they should be, to the dignity of the person who needs to transform their situation. It's incredible. It's really beautiful. What we're going to be doing is, in addition to doing family constellations for people, we're going to be doing other ancestral work, working with ancestors' story, and we're going to be doing some ceremonial work in the evening times. And we're going to also work with curse unraveling. So these are belief systems handed down through the family line. So we're going to do some work around unraveling those thought forms which have just been passed down from generation to generation to generation. So dissolving those chains and bonds and leaving you free to create whatever you want in your life and stop repeating history, carrying that story through. So we're going to be doing a few things, not just constellations, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.